Yo, what's up YouTube and welcome to this tutorial. So in this tutorial we're gonna look at how we can create some movement to our synth pads. This will mainly be for those like more organic house, lo-fi house kind of track, but you can also use it in other tracks or other genres. This is going to be done in Harmless, which is a synthesizer in FL Studio 20, which comes with the, I think it's the producer bundle or signature bundle. So I'm just gonna show you by each step how I'm going to set up like the presets and stuff. And for the sake of it, I'm gonna leave a download link for the preset, for the Harmless synth, and also for the effects processing we're gonna do afterwards. So this is the sound that we're going for today. So the first thing you're going to do is to add Harmless as an instance in your sequencer. I have already added one, but you can do it like find Synth Classics and then locate Harmless. And then we're going to set up some basic chords, and this is just a basic chord progression in A minor. You can just copy the screen. This video is not about programming the chords, so just copy it for the sake of the tutorial. Yes, then load up the instance of Harmless, and you just have to find the default preset and put the volume a little bit down so it's not gonna clip because the sound is a little bit high. And this is the sound from the initial preset from Harmless. So it's okay, it sounds a little bit flat. So the first one that we're going to do is to play around with the cutoff filter. So you just leave it on the crude low pass because it adds this low pass filter to the sound. Then just pull down the frequency so we get a little bit more low cutted sound. Then we're gonna play around with the envelopes up here. Because it's a pad sound, we have to add some attack to the sound, like this. So you get this swelling kind of sound to it. And you're gonna put up a little bit of release. And this makes the sound not just stop at an instant. Well, then we're gonna move on to, there's this tremolo effect. Play around with it, add a little bit of it to make the sound a little bit wobbly. What you might notice is that it's panning also a little bit and also add some volume modulation, so it's kind of moving like this. And I think it's a cool effect to add like movement to the synth. Then the next thing we're going to work around with is to play around with the sub oscillators. So adding some more like fundamental tone to the synth. And you might hear that it's starting to clip a little bit. So just dial back the volume a little bit over here. Then we're gonna move to the unison. So the unison is actually telling that each note that you press, then if the unison is in one, then it's only like one synth playing. But then if you're adding it up, then it's gonna sound more fast. So it plays more like, I think it's actually called voices instead. Sorry, not synth but voices. So you only play one voice on one key. But if you add more, then it's gonna sound really like, it adds some fullness to the sound. So let's add this to 3. So it kind of sounds like we added some chorus to it. So it's starting to sound a little bit more wide and like full. Then we are going to add some phaser here. Just a little bit so we can like barely hear it, because a phaser also like move in the frequency range, so it also adds some movement to the pad. Then we're gonna add some ping pong delay. And this is just to add some little bit more stereo effect to the sound. And then we're gonna add a large hall in the reverb. Just dial back the volume a little bit because it's not, we don't want like a really wet sound. It's just to be there to add something to the sound. Now we have set up like a basic preset, and now we're going to play around with the LFO, because the LFO is what's gonna like drive the movement in the preset, in the synth preset here. So if you locate the LFO over here to the right, then you can see there are some waveforms that you can play around with. And I think the multi-sign is really cool. So what you have set up here, you have the speed knob here, and it actually like tells how fast like the frequency, like the waveform is moving. So I think we will just set to around here. So what we can do in Harmless is to add some LFO modulation to, for example, the filter cutoff. So we're gonna do that right now on this knob. So if we really dial up like the speed knob on the LFO, you can really hear like the LFO is starting to like move along. So play around with the cutoff frequency on the filter and set it to your liking. You can also play around with the resonance. It also adds some like grittiness to the sound. This width knob, I tend to like put it down a little bit. I think right now we have set up the filter like where I want it to be. We have this harmonic mask thing in Harmless, and as I know of it, it adds like some extra harmonics to the sound. And what I want to do is just dial up the mix here. So it adds like some upper harmonics to my ears, so I really like that. And then you can also like play around with the LFO here. So this LFO knob, it really adds like also some movement, because it tells the mix knob that it should not be on like one constant value, but it's gonna move along to like the speed of the waveform at the LFO. So in Harmless there is this grid knob, and it adds like some more metallic noises to the sound. So right here I think we have like a good starting point here. By dialing it up too much, I think it tends to like, the oscillators are being fine-tuned too much, like offset from each other, so it's gonna sound a little bit out of tune in my opinion. So I tend to just dial up a little bit of the grittiness just to add some flavor to the sound. And then I think the last thing that we're going to do to this sound is to use this harmonizer here, and it's also to add some more harmonics to the sound. You can set up like the routing here, and we want to have it before the filter, so I want the harmonics to go into the filter and then to the output. So we can crank up the amplitude here. And then this knob is like the strength of the harmonizer. And then we, like basically, it's really hard to hear it, but it adds a little bit of texture to the sound. And by applying a little bit of LFO to this amplitude here, this amplitude knob, you tell the sound that it's going to evolve, so it's not constantly the same value on the knob. It's like moving a little bit each time like you hear the sound in the cycles of the waveform. So I think we have a really, really cool sound here. I think I will add some chorus, just a classic one, with a little bit of mix. Try with. So I think like right now I have a sound that I'm really satisfied with. Okay, so let's add some processing to the sound. So I'm just gonna assign this Harmless to mixer track 1, and on mixer track 1 I'm gonna pull up this Fruity Delay 3, and it has a dry wet on around 43%, and then it's set to 3 here in time, and it's set to a ping pong because I want the stereo effect on the sound, and then the feedback is dialed back a little bit, and the cutoff is also dialed back because I want like each of the feedback of the delay is gonna be like, I want it to be more low pass. And then one of the hidden gems in this plugin is the sample rate reduction and the bit rate reduction. So it really adds a lot of texture to the sound, in my opinion. So I'll just a little bit of rate reduction, sample rate reduction, and bit reduction. Because if you listen to the sound here, like too much of the sample rate reduction will make it like sound a little bit too fuzzy. So it's just a little bit to just add some texture. And then moving on, I pulled out this Fruity EQ 2. Removing like some of the low end, because initially you want to have like a bass playing beneath for the rhythm, or to layer up with a sub bass or something. And then I think like this area, really adds something to the sound. So I really want to like emphasize it a little bit. And then I wanted to make it sound a little bit more lo-fi. I removed a little bit of the high end of the sound. And then I think I just made like a basic drum pattern. And I want the synth pad to like sidechain to the kick drum. And I want to make this like really easy for you guys to do, just using basic Fruity presets. So what you can do is you can actually pull up the Fruity Parametric, and then right click on volume, create automation clip, and then we're just going to zoom in, and we're just going to take cut tool here, remove this. So this is like basically one beat, and you have the kick drum here. So we're just going to do like this, copy here, and then paste it here, because this is where the kick drum is playing, and it's loudest here. And then we're gonna like reduce the volume like this. So this is basically how you would do it in maybe like a plugin like Volume Shaper or LFO tool. And you can do this, and then you have like you tell the plugin that it should be on normal volume right here after the kick drum is almost done playing. And then what you can do is that you just take the pencil tool and you just draw it all the way here. And then if you listen, so because we added this crazy waveform with the lo-fi and it's not synced to the track, then the track might move a little bit off the grid. So it's a good idea to sometimes sidechain it a little bit so it's gonna move along to the track. So I really hope you liked the video, and if you did, it will mean so much to me if you will give the video a like, or maybe subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna put the free download for the presets in the description down below, and I think you should try to play around with this synthesizer. You can do a lot of cool things with the built-in plugins in FL Studio, and I think in the future I'm gonna cover more of the plugins that comes with FL Studio, so we can really try to get the most out of the box. So please comment down below if you want me to cover some other topics in terms of production. I will be happy to do it. So see you in the next video.